now, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak faces another revolt over his Rwanda plan. Of course he does. 30 Tory backbench MPs have tabled amendments to toughen up the legislation on one side, and we've got other MPs on the other side absolutely in fright at the idea that we could actually take on things like the European Court of Human Rights. Well, joining me now to discuss this is former Number 10 advisor and founder of Conservative Home Tim Montgomerie. Good morning to you. Also, Benedict Spence is still with us. I must stress, if we do get any hint of what the announcement is going to be from Number 10, what Rishi Sunak is likely to say at PMQs today, that's what, I mean, if he doesn't say at PMQs, he's going to look a little bit of a nincompoop, I think,
silly, yeah.
To deal with the post office scandal. If we get anything at all, I will bring it to you first, and we will, of course, take PMQs at the start of it live to hear that announcement. Tim Montgomerie, I want to ask you about that, what you expect to hear from that in a moment. But in terms of Rwanda, I mean, I do get to the point where it's just sort of, it's kind of our bread and butter, Rwanda, you know, in this sort of TV show. But you do find yourself going, oh, not that again. What's happening? Will the planes ever take off? Yeah. Even if a plane does take off, it's going to not even touch the size of the problem of the scale of the illegal immigration. But what is the latest? We call it like PM faces more turbulence with threat of another Rwanda revolt. What is this turbulence?
Would you remember we heard about these 5 families, this sort of section of the different sections of the Conservative Party all fighting for their turf? It sort of reminds us of the Brexit wars, but they're actually become very well organised. Damien Green on the left of the party, former cabinet minister, former deputy prime minister under Theresa May, has actually organised for the first time, really, the sort of the left of the party in a very coherent way.
This is sort of they're called like the One Nation.
They're called the One Nation. I regard myself as a One Nation Conservative, but perhaps not quite as One Nation as them in their
One Nation. But when they say One Nation, was it One Nation including everyone in the world who wants to come and live in the UK?
Well, it seems to be. seems to be.
Basically, Labour Party then.
But I think, basically, the Tories, were elected with a majority of 80 just over 4 years ago. But that's been whittled away by the endless by-elections. But now, with this block of sort of centrist Conservative MPs, however you want to describe them, there really is no government majority for the kind of action that probably people like me would like to see.
I mean, it is extraordinary, isn't it, since that 2019 election, that they don't really have the power. You think you can get anything through. You've still got 60-odd, a majority ostensibly, but it doesn't really exist.
Well, let's be clear. Immigration has been the issue that probably got Brexit over the line.
It was the Syria.
The issue that got them that majority of 80 in 2019. David Cameron was promising to reduce net immigration to the tens of thousands 14 years ago.
Can we all just break for a little chuckle over that? Tens of thousands. Hilarious.
There's all sorts of things, scandals. We talk about the post office in politics at the moment. But the way that the Conservative Party has kept, my party, I'm ashamed to say, has kept promising the British people that they will control immigration and haven't, is a disgrace. Now, you can argue, will the Rwanda Bill actually make much of a difference? Probably not. But the fact...
Is it a principle? Is it a principle that I mean, I always find the thing that I find extraordinary is that people on the left of the Tory party and in the Labour Party and the sort of the bleeding heart liberals and in running Calais refugee charities, this argument seems to be, but everyone has a right to be here and you can't get rid of anybody and isn't it awful and you need to offer safe haven and you come to a point where you go, well, give us a number. How many people do you actually want to have here? Whether illegal. There comes a point the British people have said in election after election, no thanks, sorry, drawbridge up, we're done now.
And it's not just like it's a little bit over the target. It's not like it's 101,000 or 110,000. It's 700,000 net immigration.
But most of that, that's legal
migration. That's legal immigration,
Here's the question. We've discussed this quite a few times before on the show. Is that given the government repeatedly, under defeated prime ministers, have said they want to limit this. And, I mean, for me, the whole point of Brexit wasn't, financial benefits. I think there will be long-term financial benefits. But the key thing for me was I want to have a say as a voter in what my government does and who is elected to government. And when they get things wrong and when they lie to us and when they're hopeless and useless, I get a say in getting rid of them. And the government saying, oh, well, it's up to the EU, you haven't got any choice about that because anyone from, France or Romania or wherever can come to our country. I want to be able to hold them responsible. So it wasn't that we wouldn't have any immigration or we'd necessarily cut it. It was that it would be the government that we had elected that decided it.
People wanted control. That was the slogan.
Control, take back control. But we told them what we wanted.
Yeah.
They said, yes, we'll do it. And then they've done the opposite. Question, did they think we wouldn't notice? Did they think we wouldn't care? Why did they do it?
It's one of the great mysteries, because when the Conservatives lose the general election this year...
And it's a when, not an if for you?
And they're going to lose it big time. I think
Should they lose it big time? Do they deserve to be punished?
Whether the country deserves Keir Starmer as Prime Minister is a whole nother question.
Yeah.
But actually, taxes are up, immigration is up, home ownership is down, no public service reform. Kids in schools are having all sorts of ideology imposed upon them, stuff that you've been discussing this morning in the Scottish context, which makes my blood boil, frankly.
People are poorer.
You go through the list of what the average Conservative voter expects from a Conservative government, and this party has not just failed on the margins, it has failed catastrophically.
If I were Labour, I would just simply run, maybe it's not a song everyone knows, but for me it's the Janet Jackson song, "What have you done for me lately?" I mean, that's the thing, what have you done for me lately? And people go, I've got nothing. I've got nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a long-time Conservative. You founded and ran for a long time. You're editor of Politics Home, which is representing grassroots Tory members.
Conservative Home, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Conservative. Sorry.
Yeah.
OK, so what do you think ends up happening? Do you think the Rwanda Bill get through? Will it get through the Lords? Will it ever become law? And will the plane ever take off?
I think it will... Lots of questions there. I think it will be unlikely that it will be amended seriously by the Conservative rebels who want it to be tougher. Because I think the One Nation group we were just discussing a few minutes ago, they're solid.
Yeah.
And, of course, Labour and the Liberal Democrats, the SNP, they're not going to protect Britain's borders. They're not interested in that. But then their question for the Tory rebels, like Robert Jenrick, Miriam Cates, is do we bring down this flagship bill in an election year? And I think the answer to that has to be no. You don't absolutely wound your party leader on...
Would that be effectively, almost a vote of confidence?
It would be.
No,
and of course,
the Prime Minister.
And the Prime Minister could turn it into a vote of no confidence,
Although, bit brave.
Well, I think in an election year... The Tory party is traditionally called the stupid party. I don't think even the Conservative Party is that stupid to vote.
Well, also, MPs also have mortgages.
Not sure you're quite so sure about that, are you?
You've said that. Stick money on it happening.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Vote of confidence in you. Yeah. What do you think, Benedict?
Honestly, I mean, I'm just as much in despair as you are. I understand the whole point about not wanting to sort of bring your government down in an election year. As much as anything else, though, it's because they are going to lose the next general election. You don't want to potentially preempt wrecking the future leaders' chances of putting the party back together by bringing somebody in early and then have them lose a general election. I think Rishi Sunak has... He's made this bed for himself. He needs to stick by it. I don't think it's going to solve anything.
Although he's kind of inherited a lot of this stuff, hasn't he?
He wanted the job.
He wanted the job.
Yeah.
Whether he still wants it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure there's no sympathy for him amongst your viewers.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, no! It's extraordinary.
But actually, it must be a horrible job.
The leader of Reform UK, Richard Tice, who was a former colleague and a very good friend of mine, he was basically saying, you need to give the Tories a big kicking. You need to punish them for this level of failure, even if him standing candidates in every single seat and not doing a deal. He said he's ruled out any deal like he did with Nigel Farage did with Boris Johnson ahead of the 2019 election. He's talked about sometimes regretting that, but it was the Get Brexit Done election. And he said, basically you need to punish them, and you need to basically say, even if there is a Labour government as a result, because Reform UK standing where Tories are standing is likely to split the right-wing vote and let Labour or Lib Dems in, that you need to do that. Do you agree that the Tories need to be punished even if the outcome is a Labour election, a Labour victory?
Well, I hold positions that are contradictory at the same time, I'm afraid, on this, Julia. I'll vote for my local Conservative MP, which may be a cop-out. John Glenn in Salisbury, he's a good man, which gives me an excuse. But I do simultaneously think the Conservative Party needs to be punished. They do not deserve to stay in office, but the country doesn't deserve Labour. And I don't think we can just sort of glibly sort of say, well, we have a period in opposition, because really, when I was watching you before I came on in the green room, I was watching, that story from Scotland. How can it be that we are potentially going to send parents to prison for opposing... That's the sort of thing we might get in England and Wales if we have a Labour government.
Labour have supported everything with the SNP in Scotland.
Having a Labour government isn't a priceless thing. I don't think they will spend money recklessly because there is no money left. But they will impose on all of British industry.
The only thing they can do is all of this stuff.
It'll be because they don't have money. Their cultural I don't know what you throw.
Well, it's nanny state.
You throw vegan burgers to their left. You don't throw red meat to them. But whatever you throw to the Labour sort of core vote, that will be done en masse.
But this, one of the things I'm most angry at this government is things like the concern over, trans ideology in schools and all of this, and the net zero madness again, which is costing our children's lives. That's what it is, and it's costing our children's happiness in the future, and also it's costing our economy. Net zero. Why they don't end it all, end that all now, but literally end it. Literally, you're involved with Stonewall or mermaids. You ain't allowed within 100 metres of a school. Yeah. Every head teacher, you allow kids. You tell a child that there are more than two genders, you are sacked on the spot. I'm sorry. I want the Conservative government to act like
Hartley-Brewer for
to
Prime
act
Minister,
like a Conservative government and do their job, because they want to leave that stuff happening so that people go, oh, I might have to vote Tory to stop that, stop it the worst happening. No, if you really care about our economy, if you really care about our children and all these other things, you would deal with this now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, perhaps counterintuitively, that's why I think Conservatives can't go around thinking, oh, well, what's going to happen in the next 5 years? Because we've already had 14 years, effectively, of it just going slightly slower. Is that a price worth paying for the reformation of the Tory party or the rise of a new right-wing party that actually then has the muscle, so to speak, to then come in 5 years and actually reverse some of these things? Because that's the thing. The current one doesn't. It doesn't reverse anything. It just allows it to happen.
But again, even if you get another party with a big mandate, what's their mandate for? They don't seem to use the mandate.